And the book we're going to talk about today is Yay, you made it. I've been waiting for you. Hi, my name is Floss. This is the Grape Jelly Library where we love to talk about books. I am so glad you could join me. I always look forward to your visit. Today we are going to talk about the book From Here to the Great Unknown, written by Lisa Marie Presley and Riley Keough. Lisa Marie felt the need to tell her story. At first, she didn't think that her life was interesting enough to even tell her story. But I think it was after her son Ben's passing that her wheels began to turn and she felt compelled to put her story out there. And, I am here for it. It's a heartbreaking story. I'm going to tell you that. She had her fair share of happiness in her life, but mostly this book feels heavy. It's a heavy read. It was a lot of heartbreak, a lot of trauma, um, a lot of mountains that she had to climb. Right off the bat, look at this cover. It's so telling. Anybody that is a fan of Elvis knows that there are three people in this photo: Elvis, Priscilla, and Lisa. Why Lisa chose to remove her mother from this picture is very telling. Before we even crack open the book and begin to read the first page, yes, this is like, I had to think about this. So, the picture of Priscilla's hand, she chose to say, well, I could have used any picture I wanted, but I'm going to use this picture, the family portrait. But I'm going to take my mother out of the picture, but I'm going to leave her hand there, which kind of looks a little odd, don't you think? And even I'm willing to forego part of my father's face in order to omit my mother's entire being. So there's that. We open the book and we are greeted with a poem by Charles Bukowski. And it is a poem about a little bluebird inside of his heart that he doesn't want to get out. He'll go to whatever lengths he has to so that this beautiful little bluebird doesn't rear its pretty little head. All right, so now we are kind of getting a gist of what we're in for with this book. I think it's a very somber read. It's a thrilling read, but it's also kind of, yeah, like I said, it's heavy. Now we get into the first shocker of the book, and that is Priscilla's experience being pregnant and what her notions were regarding that experience and how she almost acted upon those notions. Meanwhile, over here, we have Elvis, who's so excited to be a daddy. He cannot wait for his little girl to be born and to come home. And Elvis was a doting father, and Elvis was lenient. There wasn't a lot of rules going on in Elvis's presence, but that's not to say that he didn't guide his little girl. He absolutely did. He wanted the best for her, and when she was hurt, he was hurt. And Elvis had a very close relationship with his mother, and therefore he had a very close relationship with Lisa for those 9 years. And it I guess it's a Presley thing because she had a very close relationship with her children. So that also is very telling. But Lisa did not have a close relationship with her mother. Lisa was extremely rebellious towards her mother, um, on purpose. Uh, Anytime she could upset her mother, she jumped at that chance. Then we go into the book where Elvis has left the building. And by then, Priscilla and Elvis had been divorced, and Lisa would spend her time going back and forth between her two parents' houses. And she hated to be home with her mother, and she loved to be at Graceland with her father. And she happened to be at Graceland the night that, or the morning that Elvis passed away. And she ran into the bathroom and she was quickly whisked away. And she was, you know, brought into another room while things started to unfold and be covered up and hidden and all of that. So that was pretty traumatic for her at 9 years old to witness. And then she takes us into the journey of her having to be forced to live with her mother. And there's so much about this book that I didn't know. And my heart just breaks. It breaks. Then Lisa takes us into her marriage, or well, her dating, like off and on dating with different men. And that how when she met her first husband, Danny, she knew that she wanted to have children with him. And Lisa was, a member of Scientology. Elvis was against it, but Priscilla thought Lisa was so unruly that she needed some grounding. So it was like send her away to Israel, or put her into Scientology. So Lisa agreed to that. Lisa's telling us how the greatest thing to ever happen to her was her children, Danielle, Riley Keough, and Benjamin Storm Keough. She loved being a mother. She doted on her children. She cuddled with them, read them stories, took them for ice cream. She was extremely hands on. And she knew that was her purpose in life, to be a mother. She then takes us into the journey of her relationship with Michael Jackson. And I have to give her credit for being so honest, because some of these things that she reveals, it's a hard pill to swallow. And she told it with class, I believe, and no judgments. Then she takes us into the relationship with her and Nicolas Cage. And she tells us very, very little about her fourth and final ex-husband. I think his name was only mentioned one time in the book. But when she reached 40, she decided that she wanted to have a child, another child. And she ended up with twins. And she said that she wanted to be the best mother she could possibly be now that she's had experience with it. And Riley actually said that it would be impossible because she was already a terrific mother. You couldn't improve upon the mother that she was. And that Riley absolutely picked the right mom in Lisa. And I find Riley to be very loving and very sweet. Lisa said about wanting to write this book that she kind of lost her way and she just didn't know how to go about writing it. And she asked her daughter, Riley, would you help me to write this? And Riley was like, sure, of course. And you know what? That's kind of how I felt with doing this video. I read this book the day it came out, but I have had such a hard time trying to put into words what I wanted to say about this book. There's so much to be said. I didn't know how to say it, when to say it, what to say. So I kind of know what Lisa was going through when she just lost her way. She didn't know what to do anymore. So Riley did a wonderful job with this book. I read the book, I did the Audible book, because the Audible book added a whole other element of charm. It's narrated by Riley herself, and Lisa's parts are being narrated by, um, oh my gosh, Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts. Okay. And there are snippets of Lisa's voice on recording. That's what she did. She recorded her voice in preparation for this book so that she would be able to, keep the momentum and the fluidity of the book by just listening to these tapes and then just building off of them. So sadly, after she asked Riley to help her, Lisa passed away a month later. So Riley had to endure listening to her mother's voice, and she said it was just like her mom was in the room with her. So she had to listen to what her mother was saying and build something from it in a respectful, honest, loving, caring way. Now we come to the story about Lisa's son, Ben. It's heartbreaking. Ben told his mom, it says on one occasion, that he wasn't feeling right. He was feeling like he was having some mental instability, and he didn't know what to do about it. Well, sadly, not long after that, he ended up taking his life, and that was the complete and utter ruin of Elisa. After that, she was torn between going to the other life and being with her son Ben, or staying here with her other three children. So she was put in a horrendous situation. She had a decades long addiction to drugs, but she did her hardest to get clean. And after Ben's passing, they thought that Lisa would relapse, but she did not. She stayed strong for Ben and in honor and memory of Ben. Now, I'm not going to tell you what Lisa did. If you Google it, you're going to find out immediately, because I think that the media is using it as a selling point. And Lisa even says that, there's not a lot of people that can do what I did, but I did it. I had to do it. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. I don't want to I don't want to ruin your reading experience of this book. I want, if you choose to read it, I want everything that you read to be your experience and your emotions and revelations and shock and awe and whatever it is that you're going to experience with this book. You do not need to be a fan to read this book. Um, it's a telling story about a human being who just she did have financial difficulties too. But she was left a large sum of money by her father, and the EPE estate generates tons of money, but she did have some financial difficulty that she was trying to work through. But it just goes to show that, like, even money cannot buy happiness, and money cannot take away your hurt. So it's an honest look at a human being who was taken from us far too soon, and the tragedy that she endured her whole life. So, yeah, 5-star read for me, and I am highly recommending this one. Until we meet again, know that I love you. Don't let those bad days win. And when you dream, make sure you're dreaming big.